Hey everybody, this is Modern Refugee. I always get a lot of people that ask me to share more recipes out of my mom and grandmother's handwritten cookbooks and remedies. And this particular recipe that I want to share with you guys here today is Canadian war cake. And Canadian war cake has a long history. It actually goes back to the rationing of World War One. And I've seen a lot of different variations of Canadian war cake over the years. Most of them, the original recipes, they were only about 2 cups of flour. They're typically baked in a loaf pan. And they used a very minimal amount of shortening, and there were no eggs in any of the original recipes. Now, this recipe here, I believe, was tweaked by my either mother or grandmother, and they actually have more shortening and more eggs in this particular recipe. But I'm going to show you the recipe here as it's written, and I'm going to read it to you guys, and we're going to talk about the ingredients a little bit. Canadian war cake. Combine and boil for 3 minutes 1 pound of raisins, 2 cups of sugar, either white or brown, 2 cups of water, 1 cup of shortening, 1 teaspoon each of salt, cloves, 1 teaspoon or 1/2 teaspoon of nutmeg, 2 teaspoons of cinnamon. Cool. Add 4.5 cups of flour, 2 teaspoons of soda dissolved in 2 teaspoons of boiling water, and 2 eggs. And it says bake in a 9 by 14 inch pan for 50 to 55 minutes at 325 to 350 degrees. Now, my grandparents and my mother, they grew up on the farm, and even during the height of rationing, butter and eggs is still something that would have been available to them because they made it. And sort of like my grandmother's farmhouse bread recipe, I believe they would have added eggs in to make this more nutritious. They added eggs in a lot of bread recipes too, to make it basically to fortify it. And I believe that's probably what they did with this recipe here. Some of my earliest memories when I was a small child, my grandparents' farm was still up and running at that particular point in time, and I was in the condenser, and I can still remember them separating the cream and getting the milk and stuff around for market. But this is how the recipe is written here. I got my ingredients assembled. 2 things that I'm going to do a little bit different from the recipe here is it calls for a teaspoon of ground cloves. I'm not going to put that much in. I'm only going to put in probably a 1/2 teaspoon because ground cloves can be quite overpowering, and I don't care for ground cloves that much. And the raisins, I only have a 12-ounce package of raisins here, so it calls for a pound, so I'm actually going to substitute some other dried fruit that I have here. This is just a combination of dried cherries and dried raisins that I had here that needs to be used up, so I got another 4 ounces of that. And this recipe is in basically 2 parts. I'm going to take these ingredients here, we're going to boil these for the 3 minutes, we're going to let this cool, and then we're going to go ahead and we're going to add our other ingredients into it, and we're going to bake our Canadian war cake for you guys. All right, guys, we got our ingredients assembled. I got my cup or 2 sticks of butter in here. It just called for shortening, so I believe lard could be used in this recipe as well. But I got butter, so we're going to use butter. They would have had butter for something like this. Here's my 2 cups of white sugar. White sugar is actually what I had open, so that's what I'm using for this. And my 4 ounces of my dried cherries and mixed raisins there, and then 1 12-ounce package of just regular raisins. And then we got our cinnamon, our nutmeg, our ground cloves, and our salt. And then our 2 cups of water. Now we're going to turn the heat on here, kind of medium, and we're going to let this come to a boil, and then we're going to let it cool. All right, this is what it looks like after it's cooled. It's got sort of a rich, silky appearance. It's dark brown. It's got all the reconstituted fruit in it. I'm going to add my 2 eggs now that I got beaten up in. Get that incorporated a little bit. And then we're going to add in our 2 tablespoons of hot water with the baking soda. That's our leavening agent. Give that another stir. And then we're going to add our flour. And this is 4.5 cups of all-purpose flour. We're going to give this a good stir. I'm going to show you what the batter looks like when we put it in the pan. All right, this is what it looks like. It's just basically a regular batter. It has a very spice smell with the raisins and the nutmeg and the cinnamon and the cloves and stuff in it. So this is a bit of like a spice cake. Anyway, it's a real dense batter. So we're going to get this in the oven now for the 50 to 55 minutes. I set the temperature at 340 degrees. The recipe called for 325 to 350, so I figure that's a good median temperature. We're going to set this in here and we're going to see what the finished product looks like. All right, guys, this is our finished cake. Stuck a knife in it, came out clean. It was exactly 50 minutes that it was in, so the time and the temperature was correct. Gonna take my spatula here and see if I can't get a small piece. Maybe I have to get 2 out. Corner piece there. Now we're going to give this guy a try. You can see here what it looks like. You can see with the brown texture of the spices, and then you can see the dried fruit in there. Try a little piece of it. Tastes really good. Has that spice cake taste and texture. And you can certainly frost this if you want. If you'd have some just icing, or you want to make your own buttercream frosting, you could throw that on top here to make it a little richer. But most of the stories that I read is they had it just like this with their coffee or their tea. But just wanted to share this old recipe here out of my mom and grandmother's writings. Sharing this recipe here and sort of how I think that they tweaked it a little bit from the original recipe of the Canadian war cake. But anyway, this is Modern Refugee. I appreciate all my subscribers out there. Hope you guys got a little information, a little entertainment out of this video here. Just sharing another old-time recipe with you guys. You guys have a good one.